I asked Ann Indermill, Elder Ann, to read the 23rd Psalms this morning, and there's a key phrase in there. You're very familiar with it. Even though I walk through. You know the rest of it? The valley of the shadow of death. Let me share with you a few insights about valleys. One insight is that valleys do seem to be inevitable. We can't avoid them. We try, but some valleys just happen to us. Some valleys are unpredictable. How many of you would have predicted getting cancer or a heart attack? We don't. We cannot kind of predict those things. Watch out for them. Try to eat right and do things well, but some of these things just come to us. My daughter could not have predicted that this Friday my daughter-in-law could not have predicted that that would have been her last day at really quite a prestigious job. It happened. My son is one of the computer guru types for a very large contractor down in the Bay Area, and they typically do $200, $300, $400 million worth of construction a year. And so I, just on the ride yesterday, I said, so how much work does your company have out there? Because I know that you often, I knew a couple months ago you were booked 2 years out. You didn't need any more work for the next 2 years. And so I said, so how is that right now? And he said, well, every one of those projects have been either canceled or postponed, and we now have only $3 million worth of work out there. And layoffs are pretty rampant right now in his company. Jeremiah wrote in his book, which is, poor Jeremiah, he had a tough situation, tough deal. He had to tell people what was coming, and what was coming was that the evil nation Babylon was going to overrun them, and that the people were going to be taken off into captivity. Well, the people didn't like to hear that kind of message. It was sort of a bad news message, and so they actually, we have the expression they tarred and feathered somebody and ran him out of town on a rail. Well, with Jeremiah, they did tar him, and they did run him out of the city. They hadn't invented feathers, I guess, at that point. But he has this little statement in his book. He says, disaster follows disaster. In an instant, my tents are destroyed. My shelter falls in a moment. Something else about valleys is that they are impartial. They don't care at all if you're rich or poor, if you're educated or not. You look among us, and it seems like on pretty normal, routine basis, some of us get cancer, some of us get heart attacks, some of us get laid off, for some of us, our ship comes home. The boat comes in. Good things happen. We get a dream job or something. Another thing about valleys is that they, fortunately, are temporary. They tend not to last, even though while we're in them, they seem to last forever. And one other thing about valleys is that they seem to be purposeful. And that is that God uses them in our lives. Just in the last month, Judy and I have suffered a setback, a terrible setback. And 2 nights ago, I found myself, when I was down in Southern California, my son and I stayed at Howard Johnson's hotel. And I was awakened during the night, and it was kind of cold in the room, and that's partly because I set the air conditioner down to about 62, because I don't like a hot room when I sleep. But I felt this urging to get out of bed and get on my knees. And for what the Lord has been dealing with in my own life, I found that I was on my knees, surrendering yet once again, and to a deeper level, something that God wanted to teach me. So valleys are purposeful. God does not waste a valley on you and me. You know, some of the valleys we may have even created, but God's not going to waste them on us. God is going to teach us things. So those are some insights about valleys.